Lyfts Braille Guide to Autonomous Tech helps the blind become familiar with robocars. Autonomous vehicles offer a promise of independence. This Braille diagram illustrates where sensors including LiDAR, radar, and cameras are on a self-driving car. Last week, the National Federation of the Blind held its annual conference in Las Vegas, and during the event, ride-hailing service Lyft gave brief trips in self-driving cars to around 50 people who are blind or low vision. Autonomous vehicles have perception, or vision, systems designed to allow the car to see the real world around them. That way, it can hopefully carry out critical driving maneuvers like slamming on the brakes if a step's in front of it. A self-driving car transporting a person with limited or no vision is a great example of a controversial technology's promising use to a machine that takes the wheel when a human cannot, and a smart intersection of tech and accessibility. But the tech can remain mysterious, scary, or intimidating to people who haven't experienced it before and have different levels of trust in technology. Part of the demystification process involves simply learning how the system works. The self-driving Lyfts in Vegas were operated by a company called Active, and in those vehicles, a person sitting in the back seat can see a screen that shows what the autonomous car's sensors are seeing. Communication tools like that between the machine and the humans are in. When you're a sighted person, and you get into the car, you get to actually see what the car is seeing, says a consultant with Lyft and an accessibility specialist who is blind. You get to see where all the sensors are, you get to visually take in all the information. But a person who, so to make up for that communication gap, SolCCCIA and the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired in San Francisco's Media and Accessible Design Lab came up with a paper guide to the vehicles that explains through Braille how they work. The document illustrates where the car's LiDAR units, cameras, radars, GPS unit and its computer system are located. It explains what all those sensors and other pieces of hardware actually do, and how they work. After they took a trip in a vehicle, the blind and low vision riders had the chance to feel the Braille guide to the vehicle they had just ridden in. They also got to a Lyft spokesperson says that the tactile guide to how a self-driving car works will be left in the autonomous active cars for blind or low vision riders who might cruise with them in the future. A guide for how the driving machine sees, readable by touch. Marco SolCCCIA in an active vehicle. Right now, self-driving cars are parts of fleets operated by company SUV has a self-driving taxi service in the Phoenix, Arizona area, for example. So while autonomous cars aren't the types of vehicles people can own yet, leaving aside services like Tesla's autopilot, which isn't a full self-driving feature, of the concept of self-driving cars holds understandable appeal for the blind community. The ultimate idea of the self-driving car, for those of us who are blind and low vision, is it demonstrates pure mobility and independence, SolCCCIA says. You have a lot of blind people that drove before they lost their vision. You'll have a lot of people that just want that experience to be able to do something by and for themselves. Ultimately, riding in a self-driving car shouldn't feel, or be, from a vehicle piloted by a responsible human. But that doesn't detract from just how cool the idea of a short trip down and back down the asphalt in Las Vegas is in an autonomous vehicle. Just feeling the car and negotiating that U-turn, it just feels so natural and smooth, SolCCCIA says.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.